One of the best parts about running a small business, aside from obviously being your own boss, which is awesome, is the write-offs. But if you're a very new small business, or maybe you aren't, like me, who's been doing it for a little while, but you've realized there's only a few months left in the year and yeah, you need some more tax deductions ASAP? Well, you've come to the right place. In this video, I'm going to share the top 10 tax write-offs for Canadian small businesses that you should absolutely know about. Hey, my name is Jessica Morehouse, and this channel is about all things money. So if you want to continue to expand your knowledge and learn about entrepreneurship and taxes, but also personal finance and investing and everything in between, make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you are notified the next time I have a brand new video. Now, before we dive right in, because there's quite a bit to get into, a big thank you to ReInvestWealth for sponsoring this video. ReInvestWealth is a cloud accounting software based out of Montreal, Quebec, and they help incorporated Canadian small businesses streamline their finances with smart accounting tools. Their base accounting software is absolutely free, but they also offer all-in-one plans for businesses who want to work with expert CPAs to help with their tax filing and accounting needs. And their brand new recommendation engine can also help you find tax write-offs I mentioned in this video, and many others that I didn't include. I'll share a bit more about their platform later on, but for all of you who've been commenting on my past videos asking me for accountant recommendations, this may be the solution you've been looking for. To learn more about ReInvestWealth, all you have to do is go to reinvestwealth.com or click the link that I've included in the description for this video. But, I've got quite a bit to share with you in this video, so let's get to it. First things first, let me be very clear and clarify this. What exactly is a write-off? I think a lot of people use the term and they don't know what it means. It always reminds me of that Seinfeld episode where Kramer and Seinfeld are arguing about, oh, just write it off, and neither of them know what the heck a write-off is. A write-off is simply another way to say tax deduction. And a tax deduction is simply a way for you to subtract that amount from your taxable income, which will then lower your overall tax bill. For example, let's pretend that you're self-employed and you earned $100,000 in the calendar year. And let's say you had a bunch of qualifying business expenses that added up to $20,000. You would deduct $20,000 from the $100,000 you earned to get to $80,000. $80,000 is the amount that you would have to pay taxes on, not the original $100,000. The logic is the more tax deductions you claim, the lower your taxable income becomes, and subsequently, the lower your tax bill to the CRA becomes as well. One more thing, because I see this all the time, especially in my comments or online, especially with new small businesses, not all business expenses qualify as write-offs. A qualifying business expense needs to be seen through the eyes of the CRA as an expense that you incurred because you need it to either continue to operate your business or to generate income for your business. So it's really important for you to know before you spend any money whether an expense is actually a write-off or does not qualify, because if it doesn't qualify, you spent the money and you don't get that tax benefit. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about self-employed taxes, and I'm sure you may, I do actually have a video that goes through some of this. I also have another one that's all about sales tax in Canada, so make sure to check out both of those videos. I will link them in the description for this video. Okay, so now that you know what a write-off is, let's discuss what some business expenses that qualify as write-offs are. And let's start with the one that you are experiencing and seeing right now, advertising and marketing. Okay, so you know how I mentioned at the beginning of this video that ReInvestWealth is sponsoring this video. They're paying me a fee to mention them throughout this video. Great for me, also great for them, because that fee qualifies as an advertising and marketing tax deduction. Other examples that would qualify under that advertising and marketing category would be your website hosting and registration, paid search results, display ads on a website. There's also kind of the more traditional advertising and marketing that we kind of think of, such as a TV or radio spot. But there's other things that could qualify, such as, a podcast ad, or even if you want to host an event where you would promote your business to customers or potential customers, that would qualify too. Another great write-off is travel expenses. And I think Often when people think about travel expenses for write-offs, they usually think of some grand trip where you have to take a flight somewhere and you have to pay for hotel accommodation. It does not have to be that grand of a trip for it to qualify as a travel business expense. You may not realize this, but you can deduct things like a bus ticket, a train ticket, an Uber, if you had to incur that cost in order for you to generate income for your business. As an example that I share often, one of the things I do in my business is public speaking, and often it is on the other side of town or someplace not close. And if that's the case, I'm probably honestly not going to take transit because I don't want to ruin my hair or makeup or anything like that. So I'll probably take a taxi or an Uber. And so I pay for that. And then I save those receipts and then I claim them on my taxes because it does qualify as a travel business expense. Because guess what? I needed to take that Uber or taxi in order to be at that speaking gig in order to get paid. Another write-off that you may be able to claim are professional dues. So I am an accredited financial counselor, Canada. In order for me to continue every single year to use that designation, I have to pay an annual fee to an organization. Luckily, it is a write-off, so I get to claim that on my taxes. Another example would be if you were a doctor or a lawyer. Likely, you have professional dues in order to keep your status, so that would be a write-off. Another thing that you can also claim, though, is if you have to pay for professional liability insurance or malpractice liability insurance, you can claim those premiums as well. Speaking of insurance, another write-off is commercial insurance. So if you, for your business, run one where you have a building or machinery or equipment and you need commercial insurance to protect yourself. Well, the good thing is not only are you protecting your business by having the insurance, which is always a good idea, but also you can write off those premiums as a tax write-off. Another write-off is, and thank goodness for it, bank and payment processing fees. So I know I've talked a lot on this channel, I'm sure, because I talk about it a lot, about bank fees, and I can't stand them. And when it comes to your personal banking, there are a lot of great options for no-fee banks. Awesome. When it comes to a small business, especially if you're incorporated like myself, not a lot of options, or the ones that do exist, not super robust, may not offer all the features that you need. So you're probably going to be paying some bank fees. And not only that, you're also likely paying some payment processing fees. You know, if you sell something online or in your store, I mean, you got to process those credit card and those debit payments somehow, and you're going to be paying a fee for that. So as a little example, for my business, although a lot of the work I do is just, invoicing, clients and things like that, a lot of it also too is, some of the products that I sell. So I have digital budget spreadsheets that I sell on my website. I also have an online course, my Wealth Building Blueprint for Canadians course. And in order to process those payments from customers, I have to use an app called Stripe, and they take a percentage of every single transaction. And I got to pay that money, and it sucks, and it's not cheap. The good thing is all of those bank fees, all of those Stripe fees, I do get to claim as a tax deduction. So that is something. It's not great. I wish we just had lower fees or no fees, but at least we have that write-off. That's something. Now, sort of along the same lines, you can also write off interest on a loan. Now, if you have to take out a business loan from a bank for business purposes, or you're going to use that loan to acquire property for business purposes, you can write off the interest that you're paying on that loan. Nonetheless, you are still taking out a loan and you still have to pay that interest and pay back whatever you borrowed, but this is one of the few circumstances in which there is a slight tax benefit to taking on debt. Not only that, and this is actually pretty cool in case you do want to, pay off that loan early, if your bank charges you a penalty or a fee for paying your loan back before its due date, you can also write that off as well. Another great write-off, or series of write-offs, is your business use of home expenses. Now, I've always run my business from home, and not only is it a magical thing because I can work in my pajamas, but the write-offs are pretty amazing as well. So I'm able to claim a portion of my heat, electricity, water, property taxes, mortgage interest. Goes on and on and on. There's a whole list of things that I can claim because I'm running my business from home. Now, one thing I want to get clear, because I feel like a lot of people get really excited about this and get a little confused about how it works. I cannot claim 100% of these expenses as tax deductions, only a percentage. So I can only claim a certain percentage of my home that I use for business purposes only. Another thing I also want to share too, if you do not own your home, you can claim your rent. So even if you're renting, you can claim that as a tax deduction as well. And next we've got professional fees. Now, if you watched my recent video about sole proprietorship versus corporation, and I shared my experience of being a sole proprietor for about 5.5 years, and a year ago incorporating my business, the one thing I shared is I'm spending a lot more money on professional fees now that I'm incorporated. The good thing is those fees, and I'm talking about, legal fees, accounting fees, and consulting fees, you can write those off. So that is one kind of nice silver lining. So if you, also have to work with a lawyer or a bookkeeper or accountant or consultant, save those receipts, save those invoices, because those can be considered a tax deduction. Next, if you have to purchase office expenses for your business, the good news is you can write those expenses off. When I say office expenses, I'm really talking about some small items that are necessary for you to run your business, such as printer ink, paper, pens, notebooks, Post-its, highlighters, pencils, things like that. Bigger things such as filing cabinets, furniture, even calculators do not fall under the office expense category. These items would actually be categorized as capital items, and that's because they will depreciate in value over time, they may wear out or become obsolete. Because of this, you can't claim the full amount as a tax deduction in the year that you paid for that item. Instead, what you have to do is you actually have to claim the deduction over a period of years. And lastly, we have office supplies, which, yes, is different than office expenses. Even though they sound like the exact same thing, they are different. So examples of things that I spend money on that would fall into that office supply category. Honestly, most of my money goes towards subscriptions of things and like applications. So, like Adobe products, Dropbox, HelloSign, Loom. Oh gosh, there's a bunch more that I cannot think about at the top of my head, but I've got them written down somewhere. But bringing us back to ReInvestWealth, if you use one of their all-in-one paid plans, you could write that cost off, so it would be a tax deduction. And now, since I did just mention ReInvestWealth, let me show you exactly what it is and how it works. All right, so this is me inside my own ReInvestWealth account. What's kind of cool about ReInvestWealth is it has you connect it to your Google account, which I do. I use G Suite for my email, and I use Google Drive for all of my documents. So it took me literally 2 seconds to create an account because you just have to connect it to your Google account. And then just for the purposes of this video, I have kind of put in some dummy information just to show you what it all looks like. So as you can see, you can connect your bank account. So if you just click on there, this has a fake BMO account, but you can connect a bunch of different banks here. So as you can see, there's a bunch of different banks that you can connect it with. And if you don't see your institution, you can actually just put it in the search and then it'll put it in there. So for example, maybe I am with Tangerine and it comes up right there. As you can also see really easily on the dashboard, it tracks your monthly cash flow. So that's your revenue, your business expenses, and also it can also track your net income. So that is your revenue minus your business expenses, which is great. It can also track your monthly taxes, which is really cool. So it tracks your sales tax and your income tax estimate. Also, it mentions if you need any help figuring out how this platform works, you can check out all of their free resources, and they have a bunch of great articles. There's also this button where you can book a meeting, which is actually pretty cool. So if you want to, for example, meet with Bedad, you can do that and you can book a meeting, during these times and get to know the platform a bit better. And of course, here is where it keeps track of all of your business expenses and has a really easy to read graph so you can understand, where is your money going? It's going towards payroll and research and development expenses, repair and maintenance expenses, and a bunch of other expenses as well. Now, the one really cool feature that I kind of teased at during this video is their recommendations engine. Now, for example, if you were to use Turfu, you could actually hit save because you're like, oh, actually, I do need a marketing agency. Now, this would be considered an advertising and marketing business write-off. So let's say I'm just going to save that for later. Awesome. And then it'll put it in your library. And so you can check back later, be like, oh, right, these were all the things that I want to use that I know are write-offs. And there's also a little bit of a incentive, whether that's like referral reward or discount. Another example, and this would be for a travel write-off, is this cheapest days to fly. So I'm going to save that for later as well. And we spoke about payment processing platforms and those fees. Well, Square is one option that you can use to process your payments, and there is a little bit of an incentive. It has free processing on $1,000, so I'm going to save that, and that would fall into that write-off, that bank and payment processing write-off category. Also, I talked about business loans and how you can write off that interest. Well, if you were looking for a business loan, you can actually use BDC small business loans here, and you can save that here. And also, I mentioned professional fees. If you need a lawyer, you can use Good Lawyer. I mean, there are just so many options and ideas for you to check out within the platform yourself. And remember, the base platform is absolutely free. So, you remember, I use Loom, so that's there too. And same with Microsoft Office. I also pay for that. Gosh, there's a lot of them that I use here actually. So you can make an account, try it out yourself, take a look at some of these recommendations for write-offs and see some of their deals, and start taking advantage and trying to lower your taxable income. Well, I hope you found this video helpful, but honestly, I cannot stress this enough. If you run your own small incorporated business like I do myself, the best investment I ever made was accounting software, my bookkeeper, and my accountant. So if you are running a Canadian corporation and you need some help, definitely check out ReInvestWealth and also their new tax write-off recommendation engine. You can find all that information and test it out yourself at ReInvestWealth.com. Honestly, it took me like 2 seconds to create an account. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, their base software for accounting is absolutely free. So to cap things off, if you have any questions, because we talked about taxes and tax write-offs, and I'm sure you have questions, make sure to put them in the comments of this video. I love comments, guys. I love them. They give me inspiration for future videos. So make sure to comment below if you haven't already. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so you can find out when I have a new video out. But otherwise, that's really it for me. Thank you so much for joining me for this video, and I will see you next time.